subject to having to prove certain things. But immigration court has a very, very, very lax standard on rules of evidence. Okay? So that means literally anything John has ever said, or literally any sort of hearsay statement, anything and everything comes into court. Right? And I mean everything. So like there's nothing really, I mean unless it's really significant hearsay that is so damaging you can actually make an objection. So immigration court is like kind of an open book. So there's not a ton of things that I have issues with questions about. I really don't. Okay? Some of the things I would prefer that we avoid are questions about work, questions about working before, meaning his jobs. But as far as the detention facility, everything related to the detention facility, I have zero problems with anybody asking a question about any of that. What's going on in there, what it's like in there, how the conditions were, everything is an open book. Okay? Seriously, I don't mind any of your questions. I really don't. Please feel free to ask them all. And it's just how long you can stay awake, right? And I will try not to interject. I'll try not to interrupt. I'll try to just, make sure that everybody feels as free as possible to ask the questions that they want. And I think we're okay to sit here for as long as we need to get most of your questions answered, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different types of questions, a lot of different types of things that you're all going to want to know. As far as the case goes, obviously clients are not legal experts, right? So the case is really kind of within our control. They know that they're applying. What? You look awesome.
No.
You look better than I do. Anyway, as far as the case goes,
good.
And I look good. Thanks. That's John, everybody. John.
Yeah.
John used to be an immigration prosecutor, but he found
We're also
light.
not going to put that on.
No. Yeah. Yeah. So, as far as the legal process goes, I'm okay with some of the legal process questions, but just understand that John is 100% eligible for a green card. Okay? He doesn't need a waiver. He doesn't need forgiveness. His impaired driver conviction does not block him in any way, shape, or form. Okay? Just so we all understand that, because if you're going to have some questions about that, that's fine, but he doesn't necessarily understand the way the legal system works as far as immigration goes. Okay? So in his mind, it's like, holy crap, I have this impaired driver, it's going to block me for the rest of my life, this is ruining my life. Not the case. Okay, as the law presently works, it's not even an impediment. Okay, it can have a discretionary factor, like the judge, which I've never seen in how many years? 20 years? I've never seen a judge deny a case where the person has complied with every single element of their probation, done their classes, done treatment, everything, and then deny based on discretion. I've never seen it, right? Because they've done everything they were asked to do, classes, treatment, everything. So, what would I put John's possibility of getting his green card now? We're in the 90%, right? In fact, we're eligible to file a motion to terminate his case. Just literally pull it out of deportation proceedings entirely. So, anybody have any questions about groundwork or anything like that before we get going?
What's kind of the wait time for green cards? And
Oh, man. Yeah. So, one of the cool things that everybody can do, because this, and I keep wondering why nobody ever runs a story on this. If it's a spousal based, right, and a normal spousal based that's not in deportation proceedings, right now, if you go onto USCIS's website and you put in I-485, you put in Salt Lake City, and you put in family-based, it says 16.5 months. That's what it's taking from the day you apply to the day you typically are granted the green card. Now, during Obama, 4 months. 4 months. Pandemic and Trump 1.0 caused some significant problems in lag times. Those lag times are coming down because just 5 months ago it was 33 months for a green card application. Literally 5 months ago, it was at 33 months. So those time frames are coming down. Bear in mind, this is a person with a lawful entry, married to a United citizen, that's theoretically done everything they're supposed to do correctly. It's taking us 16.5 months to get them a green card. Okay? Now, let's say you're a U.S. citizen father and you want to petition your son that's over the age of 21 and you're from Mexico, that's taking 24 years to even look at the petition. So somebody I wish one day would write a story on our visa bulletin. All you got to do is go on Google and look up visa bulletin, the month that we're in, and the year. So look up visa bulletin, let's see, September 2025. And you guys will see something that is going to shock all of you about where immigration is at on time frames. Because I'm so sick and tired of people in all of the trolling comments that we keep getting saying, just do it the right way. Just do it the right way. Just do it the right way. There is no right way right now. Like, it doesn't exist for somebody that wakes up in Mexico and says, hey, I want to go to the United States. That doesn't exist. There's no such thing as that. You have to have a family member, or you have to have a business, or you have to have something that petitions you. And if you're seeking asylum, forget it, right? Because we don't let anybody in right now on asylum. You're just not even let in. So, anyway, so 16.5 months if you do it the right way, right? Which is interesting because there's all sorts of nuances with the right way. So you get a lot of self-righteous people saying to do it the right way because they did it the right way. It's a constantly evolving right way. Yeah. All right. Anything else before we start? Any other questions? Okay. I will just begin with saying I'm Adam Craik, managing partner at Stoll Craik, and John Shin is sitting to my right. His wife Danae Snow, Shin.
Yeah.
John was released yesterday from the Aurora, Colorado detention facility, and he is here today at our office. And I've told John, please answer all the questions that the media may have for him. So let's just kind of take it one at a time, and everybody's questions are going to get answered. So let's start.
Can you start off with your actual detention? Like, what were the circumstances? Did they just pull you over, and where were you?
Yes, on the day when I was detained, I was contacted by the Department of Homeland Security special agents. They told me that I needed to meet them at a hotel location, which I've provided through my work as a place where I was staying during at the time. So to me, it seemed that on the day of being detained, they visited the hotel, trying to find where I was staying.
Denver?
In Denver, yes.
Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs, Denver. So I met them in the morning. They showed me their badges. There were 3 special agents there, and they interrogated me about 20 minutes, asking questions. The way they asked me questions were very, sort of leading, meaning that they knew who I was and they knew my background. They already done my research, so I answered with everything with transparency and truthfully as possible to them, and I was detained afterwards.
How'd they know you were in Colorado Springs?
Yeah, I was visiting there at the time for work, and part of work required me to go into Fort Carson military base. There was a cell tower there that I was required to work there for, and upon trying to gain access to the military base, I've been flagged with my current status, and they contacted me following day, which was the day of being detained.
So on August 18th, they arrested you. But
Yes,
they contacted you on August 7th.
Yes.
All right.
And so the government says you overstayed your visa, and they point to that, a tourist visa. Is that true? Can you talk to that?
Yes. So I did come to the United States with my parents as a B1, B2 visa, a visitor's visa.
Yeah, so that's commonly known as a tourist visa.
Tourist
So
visa.
B1, B2 is a tourist visa.
Yes. And my dad and then applied for F1, F2 visa, which is the student visa, I believe. He was a full-time student at the University of Utah, studying computer science at the time. And unfortunately, during his last year, last semester of his degree, there were some tragic car accidents that he had to battle in hospital for a few months, and ultimately that caused a lot of financial hardships and struggles within the family, and that resulted in not being able to renew on time.
Okay, so let's just make sure we understand each other. So the F1 would have been under the father, so his dad would have had the F1, and then the kids and the wife would have had F2 or F3 visas. So they would have been derivatives of the F1. But, yeah, so they were F2,
Yes.
and then that F2 status lasted until approximately
2006.
2006. And then in 2013, you applied for and received DACA, which is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals.
Yes.
Okay.
And you maintained that status for how long?
I maintained that status until I believe 2019, yes, with the conviction of impaired driving.
That's,
yes.
See, that's where everybody's getting it wrong. Because if you read the ICE press release,
Yeah.
they say John's convicted of DUI. That's not right. Our own government is telling you guys that that his conviction is DUI. It's not. It's impaired driving. Okay,
Yes.
so it's a lesser included offense of DUI, which he was convicted of in 2020, but was charged with in 2019.
Yes.
So you lost DACA because of that?
Yes, I wasn't able to renew after that incident.
And give context behind that. Why did you choose to go to Windover? What was going on?
So during that time, my father was diagnosed with a terminal brain cancer. He had a level 4 glioblastoma, which he had to be hospitalized and also be taken care of 24/7. And he only had limited time to live in this world. Given the situation at the time with my life and understanding what kind of responsibility that was going to be bestowed upon me after him passing away, I fell into depression. I was struggling with controlling my emotions. It was the darkest time in my life. I wasn't able to think clearly, and I just wanted to. It was just really dark times, and I wasn't thinking straight, and it's just full of regrets if I recall those times.
And you've said, Mr. Craig, that
Yeah.
this doesn't disqualify him from being able to, like, I guess, secure some sort of legal status here.
It does not. So,
Or none of it, like having have the DACA having lapsed,
right.
all of that.
Right. So the way our immigration system works right now, the way it presently is constituted, if you have a lawful entry, which he does, and you don't have what is known as a crime involving moral turpitude or an aggravated felony, or even if you do have a crime involving moral turpitude, there are waivers that exist, but if you don't have a crime involving moral turpitude and you don't have an aggravated felony, you are what is known as prima facie eligible, and prima facie means on your face, or on its face, eligible to apply for a green card, if you are married to a citizen. In this case, John and Danae have been married for what, almost 5 years?
Yeah, 4 years. 5
Yeah.
in June.
5 in next June. So even though there is some periods of unlawful status, right? because there's this lapse between 2006 and 2013. The wonderful benefit about being married with a citizen and having a lawful entry is those can be overlooked, meaning the citizen can get the government to agree that that can be overlooked, that unlawful presence. And in this circumstance, most of the time it is. In fact, 99% of the time.
So I don't want to hog, but so then finally, how did you get on the radar screen of the federal government? Just,
Oh, I'll take care of that one. He wouldn't know. Because with the current administration's mass deportation efforts, there are quotas, there are requirements that every single day X amount of people have to be taken into custody. That's not a joke, that's not fictitious, there are requirements. And John was a really, really easy, low-hanging fruit. What's problematic about his, though, is you have a group of people, an agency, who are really good at what they do, meaning HSI, because if you look at the actual charging documents, and if you guys want to see those after the conference, I'm happy to provide them. He was actually sought out by Homeland Security Investigations, which is a very it's a group of agents who focus in human trafficking, drug trafficking, serious violations of the United States law. But now we have a whole group of them assigned to look for people like John. And right now the idea is arrest everyone, and we'll let the courts work it out and let the ICE agents work it out. But the idea right now is arrest pretty much everybody here that has not fixed their papers.
John, after you were arrested, did ICE agents, how did they take you in? Was it a peaceful arrest? What were the next steps? Walk us through detail by detail as much as you can from
Yes.
the moment you were arrested.
Yes, so I was handcuffed at the front of the hotel parking lot, and I was taken into, I believe it was another office. It was a small location where they booked me, and I had to be interviewed by the special agents for I guess the process of being booked. So they were documenting the case at that moment. As soon after that, they transferred me. After about 3 to 4 hours from there, they transferred me to the Denver Detention Center, which was a long drive from Colorado Springs. It was a brutal drive too. I don't know what those are called when they put shackles on your ankles.
That's what they're called, shackles.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I totally,
So were you shackled with your wrists and your ankles?
and my ankles as well.
Yeah.
It was very shocking moment for me. I never thought I would have to feel what it's like to be shackled on my ankles and my wrist, feeling like some kind of a serious criminal, as if I have murdered someone. You know, it's just something that you never see or feel. I would hate for anybody to have to feel that, or go through that. So it was very rough that first day, and once we got to the detention center, it was another 6 hours of staying at a cell with just concrete walls, and it was very cold. And I wasn't, I didn't get admitted into the detention center, actual facility inside, until about 2 a.m. next day. So it was just awful.
Now, are we talking Aurora, the detention
Yes,
center?
the Aurora.
Because we said Denver, but we're talking Aurora, right?
Yes,
All right.
Aurora.
what were you thinking? Were you scared? Were you like going, crap?
Yes, I was absolutely terrified. Obviously, I cried all day. Shortly after being detained, the special agents gave me a 3-minute phone call. You know, it was a very short phone call to my wife, and it just it was one of the worst moments in my life to hear my wife cry on her birthday. I said, "Happy birthday, honey. I have some bad news. I'm being detained right now." And I asked her to call our attorney, so. Yeah.
And John, what do you want people to know about what's happening, what happened to you, and what's happening on a national level?
Even when I was being released yesterday, I've witnessed many more people coming in to the detention center and being booked. I believe it's happening every day. And even when I was in there for 2 weeks, every day somebody would be deported, or somebody would be moving to a different facility, or someone would be. It's just you never know what's going to happen to you when you're inside the detention center. They just come and go at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., grabbing you and then say, "It's time to go. Pack your things. You only have 10 minutes," and it was terrifying. It was terrifying. The whole process.
And so you stayed in there for 2 weeks. Can you talk about what it was like? Were you in like a cell with other people as well?
Yes. So there were about 70 to 80 people inside this block of facility, and I was sharing a room with 3 other detainees. 2 of them were from India. 1 of them was from China. So this facility was specifically for, I believe it was for Middle East and some Europeans and many Chinese people were staying in this part of the building.
So your specific block.
Yes, the
Right.
block of the building.
And you didn't get a pillow or blanket, is that right?
Yes, so I requested every day for about 6 days, requesting for a pillow. They responded back saying, "Yes, we will provide you with a pillow," but I've never got to see the case manager or anyone after that. They never came back, honored my request or anything like that.
So you never got a pillow.
I never got a pillow for 2 weeks. I slept without pillow.
You're sleeping on the concrete?
They have a very tiny mattress. It's not even considered a mattress. It's something to put.
Like a mat, like a
Yes.
yoga mat.
Yeah, it's something that you
On
can put
metal
under
frames.
on the bed, like a metal frame bed. And it's very cold in there. And as you can tell, I'm actually still recovering from the cough and.
Yeah,
Cold
he got really
symptoms.
sick in there, so
Did
he's
you-
still recovering.
Did you have a blanket?
I did. They do give 1 blanket. I wish we could request for a little bit more because it was very cold. All day it was very cold.
Was it safe in there? Violent? How did the inmates? Did you feel any threatened from the inmates or guards?
I didn't feel threatened, but I did feel that the whole facility was very unorganized. So there was a lot of noise.
Explain why you would say that. Because I'm assuming you're in a group of 72 people all at the same time.
Yes.
How many people were monitoring the 72 people at one time?
Just 1 officer.
So if a fight broke out between 72 people and 1 officer, what do you think would have happened?
It would have been a disaster.
I mean, did you see violence or? Were
Yes,
people-
there were verbal violence. Yes, but during my time of stay, there wasn't any fight, but it was very close. A few times it almost got into fights.
What were the inmates in there telling you? What were their conditions? How long were they there for? What were they saying?
So the inmates that I've interacted with, they don't speak English well enough to explain their situation completely. But they've told me, and about 90% of the stories that I've heard is that the ICE agent called them one day and told them that they need to come into office to verify some information, and they would love to help them. So they've been lured into these locations and offices, and when they go visit these places, they get detained.
Seems you.
Yes, so it's almost as they're trapping or luring these people into locations.
And that was a pretty common
Yes.
story amongst the people that you talked to.
Yes, almost all of them were detained because of that. Yeah.
What were your meals like?
They were not good, but I had to eat them because it's you have to survive. 3 meals were provided, 6 a.m. And then one at 1 p.m.-ish, and then one at 6 p.m. So usually it's just mostly rice and pinto beans. Yeah, but it's not that great. Yeah.
So being in there for 2 weeks and not having a lot of resources with like food and other things like blankets and pillows, what kind of emotional toll did it take on you? Because you said you got sick,
Yes.
right? So I mean, there's got to be some really hard repercussions for like emotional as well.
Did you want to give up?
I
Just sign a deportation order, just give up?
I mean, I did not want to give up because I have my family here. So, but there were times it was like, how am I going to get out of here, and how am I going to provide for my family and go back to the normal life that I was living before. So yes, I was very depressed and very emotional for first week until my amazing wife. I don't know how she did it still. I'm still shocked to be even back out here. But she worked through things very, very quickly, and obviously she's got the best attorney in the entire state. So I'm so grateful. I didn't get a chance to thank Adam or John for accepting this case. So I really do want to thank you guys, and again I will thank you. So thank you.
Did they like give you the option to self-deport and say, just sign this paper and we'll let you out and this will all be over?
So it was very, their lingo was a little bit confusing to me. I am not educated in law, or I don't know how any of this process worked. So when they asked any person to sign, we just kind of fall into this confusion. We're not sure if we should sign anything, because they don't tell you much about what you're signing. They said, here, this is the document that we just did interview, here, go ahead and sign. So I wish there was a little more explanation of what they were requesting to sign. So at that time, I did not sign any of the papers going into the detention center. I was told to wait to sign anything by my attorney. So.
John, I want to talk about the music community here. While you were there, you were getting so much support here. I spoke to Danae, and she said when she got the chance to visit you, she mentioned like there was a benefit concert for you. There were people playing at the Capitol every day. When she told you that, do you remember what your first reaction was? And also, did that help keep you going while you were in that detention center?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't find out about the benefit concert until later, but once Danae gave me updates on the response she's been getting from our family and friends and public, it was just overwhelming. And just when I thought there were no options and I might have to give up, there was hope again. And I don't know how to thank my musician friends. They mean everything to me, just because that's what I went to school for. Is I graduated from University of Utah doing violin performance, and for decades I just had such fond memory of playing music with so many wonderful and talented musicians. So yes, that gave me hope to continue and then fight harder.
And even the people who were in Colorado too, right? The ones that you didn't even know. So how did it make you feel to see those people that Like you met the piano teacher lady.
Shin.
Yeah, Shanna.
How did that make you feel to see that when you came out?
Oh, actually, before I was released, it's Dion, right?
Yeah.
Dion and Margaret, they were also from Denver, they came to visit me, and I was surprised because I don't think anybody's coming here to visit me. I'm from Utah, so I was confused. But when I went to the visitation room, I saw these two wonderful women, who were smiling, and they were just so glad to see me. And to me, I'm just like, I don't know you, but I already feel welcomed by your presence. So it was such a warm welcome from all the Denver musicians, and again, I think it speaks the power of the music community that we have here. It's just something very special about the musicians feel about each other and the strength they have. Yeah. And Shauna is so great. Yeah.
Yeah, because she was camping out outside for you, waiting. She was was she one of the first people that you saw?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
When I was released, yes,
Yeah.
There were. She was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
And
How did it make you feel to see those people that you didn't even know?
I already, when I saw them, I already felt like they were part of my family. I don't know how to describe it, but it was just this warmth and kindness coming from them, and it's,
A bunch
It
of
was
soccer
amazing.
moms. They said we're here waiting in ambush to take him in. So they
it
were
was
so wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was when you were released yesterday.
Yes.
John, what does it mean for you to see the amount of support that you got? I don't know how many letters to the judge were sent, but to have so many people speak on your character. But now this is your opportunity to talk about who you are. What do you want people to know about you?
I want people to know that I consider myself an American. This is my home. I have no home to go back to, to be honest, because I went to elementary school, middle school, high school, and college here, and all the friends and families that I know, they live in Utah. And although I was born in Korea, and I do, cherish that part of the culture, I want people to know that I am too hardworking and loving husband and father, and I am proud person. Sorry, it's been so difficult for me to identify myself as either nationality sometimes because I don't know where I belong. But for my entire life living in the United States, I always thought I was an American living here. This is where all my memories are. So through this experience, I think it helped me to really validate that feeling and all the life that I've been through. Especially with my family here, so I want them to know. I want them to know that. Yeah.
Did you see this coming? Did you, when the crackdown on illegal immigration started, did you think, uh-oh?
Oh no, I did not see this coming. But we were in. It was always in the process. We were working towards our green card. Unfortunately, it just happened one day suddenly that I happened to be detained. So.
And what do you think about all the deportations and detentions that are going on? Probably people, different circumstances than yours, but...
Right. So in detention center, everybody wears different color shirts. So there are red shirts, orange shirts, blue shirts, and green shirts. So red shirt, usually, we believe, we don't know what it means, but people speculate that, these are the people who came here illegally and have some kind of serious felony charges. I was wearing green shirt, but
What did that mean?
that to me, but interacting with any of these detainees or any of the people, there was a sense of connection with all people from different nation, especially the Chinese people that I was able to connect with in my blog. They did not commit any crime. They entered legally. Most of them entered legally. They're wonderful people. They were so supportive. So I wish the immigration process could be easier and could be done more lawfully rather than being forced.
From the ICE agents and the people in the detention center, how were you treated by people that were overseeing the facility?
Everyone's different, but most of the times they just say hurry up. Whatever command they give you, we had to follow them. They had lockdowns, so we had to go back into our cells for a number of times during the day.
Or they would just count everyone, right?
Yes, and they would just count the numbers of the people there. The tone and everything was just more commanding than, I guess, cooperative. I don't know how to put it, but yeah.
Would you say it's almost demoralizing, dehumanizing?
Yes, to a lot of times there were a lot of racist jokes because most of the detainees in the block didn't speak English well. They weren't fluent, so they couldn't understand what the officers or some ICE agents would be saying. But clearly, as a English speaker, I understood that some of those were very racist comments towards different races, especially all races. Yeah, all races. Yeah.
John or Danae, this could be for either of you. I know you have some kids at home, and like Adam mentioned, this is not the first time we're hearing of this story. I'm sure other families are going through it and kind of wish they knew what they could tell their kids or explain what's going on. How did you explain it to your kids? Do you have advice for other families who may be going through something similar?
Yeah, I think it is really scary for kids to have to be put in this situation of so many unknowns. My advice to other parents is just to make sure that you let your kids know that the adults are going to handle it. There's so much fear, and children don't need to be worrying about this, right? So I always would tell them, like, Mom's got this, I've got this, and we are going to do everything in our power to get John back. And I never spoke to them in a way that let them think about anything other than having hope. I let them know about all of the community support and love for John. They have been absolutely resilient kids, but that fear is always there. I think what I would recommend too to other parents who have children who are afraid is to really rely on your community, to let your kids know there are people all around us that are here for us, that can help you, that we stick up for each other and we stand together. And that is a truly comforting thing. At least it has been for my kids.
Danae, it sounds like you have been so brave, and especially for those who are the littlest. Was there ever a time that you felt like you wouldn't see your husband?
Yeah, especially that first phone call that was so short, and really not having any expertise in immigration. It was absolutely the most terrifying moment of my life. I didn't know where he was. I didn't know where he would be. I didn't know if I would be able to talk to him. I didn't know if he was safe. I didn't know if he was being hurt. I didn't know if he was suffering. And it was truly, truly a terrifying moment in my life. So I did feel despair that first day, especially. But I got up the courage to reach out to our community which was not easy, especially with the current climate, right? To reach out to my community and say, this has happened, and to not know whether people would support or if they would be upset. And I have been just amazed in the best sort of way, in the way that our community rallied for us. I never could have anticipated this kind of response. It's been absolutely incredible. I received hundreds of letters on John's behalf about his character, and during those really dark times where I was feeling such despair, it was really those letters that kept me going, of just people saying how much they love you and how incredible you are as a person. A letter is not an easy thing to take time out of your day and just click a button. You have to really put effort into it. So the fact that we got hundreds of letters about John really was a huge comfort to me during those dark times.
And you said, so the next step in the case, the government is still seeking your deportation. What is their case? Is there a hearing coming up or something?
Well, that's going to be interesting because, they're transferring the case to Utah, but because of the current administration, one of the judges was fired, one of the judges quit, and one of the judges retired. So we have 2 judges handling 60,000 cases right now. Wow. I'll repeat that. 2 judges handling 60,000 cases right now. Right? So if we're not able to pull it out of immigration court, although remember we just did get the new executive order appointing 600 military lawyers to serve as immigration judges, so kind of like have the hobby shop owner going and working for NASA. Anyway, those individuals will be coming in and potentially maybe minimizing caseloads, but as it presently sits, if we were to keep it in immigration court for John, we might get a final trial date of 2035 as it presently works. So I don't know. But what I do know is we've filed for his I-130, which is his petition to approve the marriage. Now the immigration court does not have jurisdiction over that, so everybody understands. Immigration judges cannot decide whether or not a valid marriage has taken place. So that has to be decided solely by United States Customs and Immigration Services, which we have here in Utah. It's in Salt Lake at 660 South, 200 East, 4th floor of that building. We have our own USCIS location. So presumably, with the I-130 being filed, we'll get an interview where myself or one of my attorneys, either John or myself, will go to the interview with a USCIS officer to determine whether or not this is a valid marriage. Once that happens, we're eligible to file what is known as an I-485, which is an adjustment of status document, which is basically the document that says, if approved, he receives a green card. Now, our goal would presumably be to file a motion to terminate and or dismiss immigration proceedings so we can fall under that 16.5 month category that we talked about earlier when we were explaining, the time waits on filing for a green card if you have a lawful entry and marry a citizen. So that's the goal. The goal is to ultimately pull him out completely of deportation proceedings, which an immigration judge does have the discretion to agree to. But that will be, we actually already filed it, so it's actually going to be pending once it comes before the local 2 immigration judge, which is Judge Greer and Judge Anderson. I'm not sure which one of them will be assigned to John's case.
That could take years.
Oh, yeah. His next hearing, what is known as a master calendar hearing, could virtually be in 2026 or 2027. Like the first hearing we have on a non-detained docket could be in 2027.
But in the meantime,
In the meantime, he's paid his bond. In the meantime, he's not a priority to be looked at by immigration, by ICE agents. There are things that we can do to file for a work permit. There are things that we can do to make sure that he's safe, living normally, to the extent you can live normal when you're in deportation proceedings.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we'll be doing.
one more thing. Do you have an ankle monitor on? for a second?
Let me do this for 1 second, then I'll let you answer that, okay? One of the conditions that you either agree to or don't agree to, but typically is forced on you, is when you apply for a bond in immigration court, the government can ask for what is known as ATD, alternatives to detention. Okay, and if I object to that, sometimes the judges will say, okay, great, well, I'm just not going to give you the bond, right? So you don't object to those. So one of those conditions is you have to report and you can have an ankle monitor placed on you. So, funny enough, John's bond of $25,000, I have never seen that amount for a case like John, ever, in my life.
Is that high?
Oh, that is out of this world high. Okay?
What's normal?
Normal?
Yeah.
4,000, 5,000. My DUI people, who are recent DUIs, who are in the middle of their probation, in Vegas, we're getting them 10,000. Now, please don't change my Vegas luck. Anyway. But typically for a DUI, it's 10 grand. Typically. And that's not for an individual who is married to a citizen with a lawful entry. That's someone who has an unlawful entry, who has applied for asylum, and has proven that they're doing everything that they need to do to comply with their DUI conditions. This was an impaired driver, lawful entry, citizen wife, without an impediment to adjustment of status. So John and I in my office, we're sitting there going, what in the world would have caused a $25,000 bond? And honestly, right now, there's a lot of hollow arguments being made by a lot of people that work for the government, because it was argued that John is a danger to our community. That was argued in our bond hearing. It was presented that he's a danger. But what's so interesting about bond hearings is if the judge finds you to be a danger, they're supposed to deny your bond. Okay? The way you use the monetary amounts is if you're determined to be a flight risk. So the way the judge can control you from being a flight risk is they escalate the bond. In this circumstance, I'm baffled. Yeah. John and I, we asked for $1,500, and I mean John West in my office. We asked for $1,500 because there is an amount. There's a base and there's a max in immigration court. Your base, for those that are non-dangerous, really easy kind of cases, you're looking at $1,500. For those that are really, really, really going out there and the judge is going out there on a wing and a prayer, you're talking 50 grand. Now, I do have somebody out there on 50 grand. They're on a $50,000 warrant or $50,000 bail. But that's because they had a red notice from Interpol. Like they were literally wanted in another country. The other country just never came to extradite them. So, now go ahead. You can ask a question. Do you have an ankle monitor?
Yes, I do.
Why are you so dangerous?
He might poke someone with his violin bow,
Yeah.
so watch
You gonna go after
out.
somebody with a violin string?
I can play music for them.
Yeah.
He can play a mean Paganini.
What did they tell you? I'm interested here. What did they tell you when they put the ankle monitor on?
And
What
then
did they say?
They put it on, like you were about to get out.
Yes, just right before being released. One of the ATD device?
Yes.
ATD officers came and put this device on.
Which, by the way, we love our ATD officers, okay? Just so y'all know, that means alternative to detention. So those are the officers that are saying, hey, I'm going to put you on an ATD program. We're going to let you out. So honestly, the ankle monitor might be on for 2 months. Just maybe. We'll see.
Yeah. But there wasn't much interaction. She just told me how to use it, pretty much. Here's the charger. Make sure you charge it. And one of these things, if they're charged for 3 hours, they can last all day and they're waterproof. So that's the only thing.
Oh, I'm so glad.
I know, isn't that wonderful?
A lot of swimming on this, right?
Yeah.
As long as the weather's hot.
Yeah.
If bond wasn't met, would you just be in the detention center for years? Is that what would have happened? Or?
Most likely, I would think indefinitely, right?
Well, no. I mean, ultimately, we would have won.
Right. But
So let me explain. I just had to do this for another person, right? I have a client from Rock Springs, Wyoming. And he's married to a citizen, has 5 citizen kids. He entered unlawfully, but his wife's dying or has a liver condition, okay? So we filed what is known as cancellation of removal because we were denied bond because he had one DUI. We were not granted a bond. It took us 10 months to get to his trial. So in John's situation, it may have taken longer because we would have had to have USCIS, which is United States Customs and Immigration Services. We first would have had the I-130 would have had to have been approved. So we would have been continually asking for continuances in front of the immigration judge so that USCIS, another agency under the Department of Homeland Security, could determine whether or not it was a valid marriage. Once that would have happened, then we could have filed the 485 with the immigration court, and then we would have done a trial in front of the immigration judge. And just so everybody knows, the detention facility, that's where the courtroom is. So the courtroom is inside the Aurora facility. So we would have done the trial right there in Aurora, seeking adjustment of status in front of the immigration judge, which could have been in 10 months, and depending on how long, you can actually ask USCIS to expedite the I-130, which sometimes goes quickly, and as we're learning, sometimes does not. So that would have had to take place first. Then within 10, I don't know how many months, we would have done our trial.
What was communication like in the detention center? Were you able to talk to your attorneys for UE, or how did that work?
I don't think I spoke to him once.
Yeah.
Everything goes through Danae because she has access and getting more numbers. Yeah, Danae would get Danae. And here's it, just so everybody understands. And that kind of sounds like crazy. Why are you not talking to your client, right? A bond hearing very rarely involves anything being said by what is known as the respondent, because his title there is the respondent. So we do everything via proffer for the most part. We lay it out. But we also, just so everybody knows, we had already filed a 200-300 pages in addition to the 200, I don't know how many letters, right, of support. So that is already provided. So that we also do a brief that tells the immigration judge why they're not a danger. We lay out the legal arguments, why they qualify for the bond, why they're not a flight risk, why they're not a danger to our community. So the judge usually has typically reviewed all of that, and then we kind of do like a final argument. So we really typically very rarely even ask the respondent or the person in custody any questions. So my communication with Danae to John was, relax, this process is going to take place. Tell him he's not going to be speaking. He doesn't need to talk. We have it covered. We're going to be fine. Because between my office and the people here, we truly believed we'd be leaving with between 1,500 and maybe 6,000 or 3,000, but maybe at the worst case scenario, 6. So, anyway.
But to touch on that too, the communication is very difficult, even for family. The phones are shut down all the time. There's huge lines to even get to a phone because how many people are there? 1,500 and then 160 per block, I believe, and it was
there's
just
only 8 phones available at a time, and people can use it as long as they have credits on their prepaid phone cards. So some people would talk there for 2 hours.
Which is fine and understandable, but it does make it difficult for everyone to get an opportunity. Between waiting and them shutting down the phones, communication was very difficult.
Did you say 8 phones?
Yeah,
8
8
phones to be shared between
per block.
Per block, so about 80 people. Yeah.
And what did you do all day? Were you confined to your cell, or could you?
There was not much to do. We weren't even able to go outside. The only open space we had was it was a wall of concrete walls, and then there were a little bit of open roof on the top. That was the only outside area we were given, about 5 hours a day. But other than that, I guess you can read a little bit of books there, not many.
They had
many
about
books.
4 books for their library.
Yeah, it was not much to do all day.
Were you afraid of the other people that were detained? Did they feel like dangerous people that needed to get out of the country?
I mean, I personally, I try not to judge anyone by their cover. So my initial impression is I'd like to maybe get to know them a little bit. So we were trying to communicate with any of the new detainees that were coming in. People were trying to get to know them a little bit, but I didn't feel like any of these detainees were a threat when I was first interacting with them. They just seemed to be trying to make their ends meet and maybe seek better life. Yeah.
Were there multiple people in the Aurora facility that were from other states, or was it mostly people that lived in Colorado?
Many of them were from Colorado, but we had many people also being transferred from different detention centers. One of the notorious one, all the detainees are talking about, is the Mississippi Detention Center, how the conditions were just awful over there. If it's 80 people in a block at the Aurora Center, it's about 160 people at a block in Mississippi Detention Center there. It was not the best hygiene conditions there. They were only given maybe one roll of toilet paper between 4 people per week. Just
And
the
no-
things that you
and
hear.
No roof, you were telling me.
Yeah, and it was an open roof
Yeah.
concept of that entire block. So people's beds were getting wet when it was raining. Just awful stories. They were getting sick. Oh man. And then they were serving breakfast at 3 a.m. and lunch at 9 a.m. and dinner at 3 p.m. So I do not know how these people are surviving over there. Just awful conditions. Yeah.
Was there any risk of you getting sent to another facility, or what constitutes somebody getting sent?
I honestly, when you're inside the detention center, you just don't know. You have no information coming from outside, other than me talking to my wife.
Yeah.
So I was in constant panic a little bit. Every night I wasn't sure what was going to happen tomorrow or the following day. So.
And that was one of my worries too, just as a spouse, not knowing, where he was or if he could be sent anywhere. It was absolutely nerve-wracking, wondering all the time.
So primarily, most of our people end up in Pahrump, but Aurora is on the list as well. But there are times, like for example, right now we have a client whose wife is a citizen. They have 4 citizen kids. He was supposed to go to Vegas, and now he's sitting in El Paso, by way of Louisiana. I have no clue why. We don't know why. They'll get to the facility. If there's not a bed, scrambling to take somewhere else, and that's. And John would not know because there's no control over that. You don't get to request transfers. You don't get to request where you get to go. It's just wherever you end up and then wherever there's bed space.
And did the outpouring of support, I mean, aside from, obviously it helped you kind of mentally, but does the government look at that? Does that figure in their eyes? They go, this is embarrassing, we've got to let this guy go, or maybe vice versa. I'm going to give this guy, make it twice as hard just because they're making us look bad. Does it figure in the government's eyes?
We can talk off record on that. I can actually tell you some things, but on the record, I can tell you that his bond request got processed real quickly. I can tell you that I do not think they wanted him in that facility any longer because of all of you, the 4th arm of government, which is why we do this sometimes. Not a lot, but sometimes. Because this is, again, the type of case that in my 20 some odd years doing this, I would have never expected John to be placed in a detention facility. And if he would have been, it would have been a local bond issued by the local agents who used to have discretion to say, we don't want to put you in a facility because we don't want to waste that bed space. We want to put somebody in there that actually has need for that bed space because they have significant crime. That no longer exists. Our people don't have. I mean, because Utah right now, you're not hearing the same types of stories, a ton of them like you are nationwide in some other places. But that doesn't mean it's not going to come. And when ICE agents lose their discretion and they're ordered to just do, it becomes real problematic.
John, how does it feel to be home?
Oh, it's been only it's been almost 10 hours right now, and I've never felt so grateful in my life to be out of that detention center and be home with my family again. It was just a weird feeling. Just the hours after I was released from the center, I was sitting on a park bench, and one of my friend Efren, he packed some snacks for me to eat, and it was the most awkward and weird feeling after 2 weeks of being inside that building. I couldn't believe I was eating Pringles and some trail mix at a park. So I am very grateful to be back home. Yes.
And you touched on this at the beginning. I don't know, can you work, or do you have to get a work permit? Or?
Yeah. So we will be getting him a work permit through some various applications that we're going to be able to file. And we'll reinstate status with a work permit, and he will be eligible to do so.
Until that, though, he has to just...
Until that, we're going to kind of mind our P's and Q's.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I can work, so I've got him. I've got you, babe.
I have a sugar mama.
Yeah.
I have the best wife.
And Adam, earlier you were talking a little bit about how agents went after John.
Yeah.
Are you seeing a rise? Who is ICE going after, and are you seeing a rise in specific cases like John's?
Well, I mean, I think because it was Homeland Security investigations, we've seen a rise in FBI. I was talking with an agent the other day, an FBI agent, who was processing detainers. I mean, I've got guys that work on drug interdiction that are processing ICE detainers. And then one of our other clients was arrested by DEA. Not in a drug-involved case, but just arrested by a narco, so like our drug task force. No drug involvement whatsoever. So, and this gentleman had, I think, 1 traffic citation. And so we're seeing an uptake in people taking into custody that really don't have any criminal history whatsoever. And we're having to file writs of habeas corpus in Utah, California, Nevada. Like so that's the other problem, is we're winning bonds, but the government is being told to file these, what are we call these EOIR 43s, which is basically the nuclear option, and they're going to have to argue ultimately that these people are national security threats, and there's no basis for it. Like, there's literally no basis, because you can't say somebody is a national security threat if they drive too fast. I mean, obviously we put people in danger, but 75 and a 70 is not a national security threat. So,
Right.
yeah, there's an uptake in arrests of people who should not be being arrested.
Based on what you're seeing in the cases nationwide, what do you think the next few years will look like as far as immigration goes, how it's handled, how it moves forward, arrests, everything?
You may not even see us in a year. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but with the 600 immigration judges coming in, with people like John being detained, and those that may not have resources, people are signing deportation orders. Like last week, I had 3 people retain us because people got taken into ICE custody. They were told, hey, if you do this, you're going to sit here for 6, 7 weeks, 8 weeks before you're even going to see a judge. Let's just get you out of here now. Let's just sign it so you can go. And their wives are like, wait a minute, I just hired an attorney to try and get you out. So we've refunded those funds because they are now gone. They're no longer in our country. And with the new 600 immigration judges that are going to be placed into these immigration courts with 0, and I mean 0 immigration experience, I can't even fathom what's going to happen, right? I can't even, because there's 2 codes, the largest codes in the United States. The biggest code we have is the tax code. Second largest is the immigration code. So to get on top of immigration law and all of a sudden be a judge in deportation proceedings, if you've never done it in your life, but you're called upon to decide immigration cases, I mean, it's moronic, to be perfectly blunt. It's just moronic. Why would you ever do that to somebody? I mean, because you call that due process. That's not due process. That's just a constitutional violation. So what that'll ultimately happen is we'll appeal everything. Literally everything, and then the same thing's going to happen. We'll just overload the immigration court, or the Court of Appeals. So it doesn't fix the problem. And that's the problem, is the problem's not getting fixed. Not even close. It's just being perpetuated. The solutions that are being purported today, those are not solutions. They're just targeted operations that try to get people to give up and just sign a deportation order. So, does anybody have any more questions? We'll wrap it up.
Real quick, I just have one more. Just tell me about your love story and like when you guys met and you got married, like that part of the story.
Yeah, so I've actually known Danae for a very long time. First time I met her was it was an after-school orchestra program at Olympus High School. It was led by great Jack Ashton, who has now passed away. But we met an orchestra back in middle school.
Yeah, I know.
believe. It was a very, very long time ago, and
But he was too afraid to ask me out back then.
yeah. But she was also very popular, so yeah, I was too shy. And then during college years, I also met her at the music school, and we were playing music together. And throughout times we've been gigging with other musicians and playing together, I had the courage to go up and ask her for a date. And
Yeah. Valentine's Day after we played a Gentry concert.
yes, I can remember. Yeah, and we went to Squatters, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah, I went to dinner.
yeah, and then ever since then, I just fell in love with her, and here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been married?
Almost 5 years
Yeah,
in
it's going to be
June. So we
5.
got married in the courthouse first in 2021.
Yeah.
And then we had our big celebratory wedding in 2022
2022.
with all of our friends. And there was just so much music. Our wedding was one for the books. I know, I wish you could have been there. It was
Yeah.
a great time. But
Me too. I'd have made you file your green card back then.
I know, right? I know. I thought, well, we were good, and then I lost my job anyway, right after our wedding. So yeah, it's just been, in our vows, it's like for better or worse, richer or poor, and
I
we're
couldn't
just
ask for
here.
any better partner. She's the love of my life, and I appreciate and love her so much.
I love you too.
You're still playing violin, but you were doing a day job, right? But you're still
Yes,
doing violin.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna make him do a concert for us.
I know, especially
Here in the
because
office.
our great friends put on such an incredible concert. Gabriel Gordon, Kurt Bester, Dr. Robert Baldwin, Dr. Michael Palumbo, and all of our incredible local Salt Lake City musicians. They have just been amazing, and we're ready to get John back playing violin. So you all can come to those concerts too. He'll be playing.
All right, guys. Thank you all.
Thank
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
John, Craig, you're in
Oh,
charge. I
thanks.
gotta hit the road.
I know. Sorry
Yeah.
about sorting these
I
out.
gotta run.